اللهم أيها الإله الضابط الكل يا من
I came across these videos on
خلصت
Instagram
شعبك
from Muslims where they were
من
like, look, this proves Islam is true. And it's
عبودية
like you go through the videos and you're just like, this is so. So this was one of the videos that I kind of just like glanced at a little bit. And I kind of wanted to just like go through it and actually like go through each one of these claims and kind of just show how like insane this is. So let's take a look at it.
Everything. I can prove to you that Islam is the one true religion in 45 seconds.
First of all, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Imagine I said, I can prove to you that I can make you $1 million in 2 seconds. Bro, whenever somebody says something like that, like it's crazy. Like, what the hell, bro? That makes no sense. If I say that I can do something in such a short period, like it's a scam automatically. It's a scam. 100% it's a scam. So if he bought this lie, or if he's the purveyor of this, where he can just do all of this stuff, I'm pretty sure somebody told him this line. Let me start over again and let's take a look. Let's take a look at this.
Point number one.
Muslims are violent, but
I can prove to you that Islam is the one true religion in 45 seconds. Point number one. The Quran says the word man and woman 23 times, and we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. The Quran.
Bro, what kind of arguments are these, dude? Like, for you to even fall for something like this is just crazy. First of all, which word are you going to use for man? If I say insan, then yeah, it can mean man. It can also mean mankind. So, like for instance, like in the Bible, when it says God created man, man and woman, or male and female, but God created man, right? Well, in a particular sense, he's talking about his creation of Adam as the first man. That's one man. But man can also, but you can also use it in a plural. God created man. Well, that's referring to mankind as a whole, including male and female, right? So how are you using it here? Furthermore, like, what about declensions? Because like, even though there's different ways of saying man, there's also declensions that have the same root of the word. So a declension is just going to be like a something that's possessive, but then also it's going to be something. It's something that alters the word or the noun. So it can be referring to a like a plural. It can be referring to possess. So like for instance, if I say this is a cat, right? Okay, well, this is a cat. Yeah. But then if I say these are my cats, well, I'm still referring to that one cat in relation to the multitude of cats. So it's still the same like root word that's being used. So then you have to ask the question, okay, so are you saying man or are you saying a man? It doesn't like there's no clear criteria. The same thing with woman. There's imra, there's nisa. Well, nisa is more like plural women, but you get the idea that I'm making. Let's actually take a look at this. I'm curious. Rija, ra, jim, lam. Oh, sorry, I got it selected. Ra, jim, lam. So it says this word pops up 45 times. Does it include the declensions? Yeah, see, look, I mean, there's many different ways in which it's being used, declensions included. So do we include the declensions or do we not? Like, it just seems kind of arbitrary, you know? Like, how do we know which one of these to use? I mean, like, to be honest with you, this kind of reminds me of like when people were doing like numerology in the Bible. There's a video. What's that dude's name? I think he's like Lutheran or something. This is Redeem Zoomer. Yeah, like check out what he said about this.
In the Bible, all numbers have symbolic meaning, but the most important ones are 3 and 7. 3 represents God himself because it represents the Trinity, and 7 represents perfection and holiness. What's interesting is that we see both of these numbers encoded many different ways in the first verse of the Bible. Genesis 1:1 is, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, or in the original Hebrew, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Now the thing about the Hebrew alphabet is every letter is also a number. That's how the Hebrew people use numbers. They use letters. So you can add up the number values of every letter in a Hebrew word to get the number value for that word. And you can add up the number value for every word in a Hebrew sentence to get the number value of that sentence. So the number value for Genesis 1:1 is 2,701. Now this number is 37 times 73. And these are both prime numbers, so that means there's no other way to factorize this number. Also, if you add 2701 to its mirror image, which is 1072, you get 3773. Also, the verse in Hebrew has 7 words, and 3 of those words are nouns. And if you add up the number values of those nouns, you get 777, which is 3.
So basically, we don't have to go through the whole video, but you basically see how it's the same thing that guy is using for all of these like number miracles in the Bible. This is called numerology. Like this is not, in fact, there's a specific word for it. I think it's Gematria. Let me see. What is Gematria in the Bible? Yeah, look at this. Gematria, let me make this a little bit bigger. Gematria is an ancient system where letters are assigned numerical values. Words sharing the same total numbers are thought to have a hidden connection. While the word Gematria does not appear in the Bible, the technique appears subtly in scripture and was used widely by later interpreters. So, okay, so now that there's quote unquote linguistic miracles in the Bible, does that now mean that the Bible is like true? Because there's linguistic, grammatical, numerological, like that's just dumb, dude. Like it's not a consistent standard is what I'm trying to say. It's basically arbitrary now that I'm thinking about it. Let's continue. I don't want to make this thing too long because we're already like 3 in and my brain is already starting to get done in. Let me see what else this guy says, bro.
Not all Muslims are violent.
We have 23 pairs of chromosomes. The Quran also says the word land 13 times, the word sea 32 times, and the makeup of our earth is 71% sea and 29% land. That is crazy. Man.
It's crazy too, how Christ was like, how much longer do I need to be with you guys, bro? Like, that's how I feel with the Muslims sometimes. Like they come up with these arguments and I'm just sitting there like it's just like, it doesn't make any sense, bro. Like, first of all, what account of science do you take? Because there's like the common understanding of the way that the earth formed and things like this. At one point there was Pangea, to where it was like, like the land mass might have been this and the water mass might have been that. We don't know what it was like all the way back then. So, like, oh, they'll say, oh, well, it was still the same. Well, how do you know? You don't know, right? You're just looking at it in its current state. Now, if you reject Pangea, the forming of the earth and stuff like that, and the forming of the tectonic plates to form regions and countries and continents, if you reject that, because some people do, if you reject that, then it goes back to the other thing I said. Well, how do you know that it was that way? Or how do you know in the future something won't happen to where it'll shift? To where, okay, well, now there's like 70% land. There's like 80% land, 20% water, or maybe there's 40% water, 60% land. So then at that point, is this verse still going to be true? Like, I don't understand. And this is what I mean by it just seems to be arbitrary. There's no set criteria as to how you're supposed to judge this. It's like there's a verse in the Quran that says if there was if somebody could produce an ayah like it. Okay, well, based on what? Like, where's the rules? Because if I try to produce an ayah like it, you're just going to immediately say, no, you did it wrong. Okay, but in order to say I did it wrong, you have to have an answer key showing what's right. And you can't use the Quran itself because the Quran does not interpret itself. uh, sorry. Because the Quran does not interpret itself. So if the Quran does not interpret itself, then that means that the Quran depends on an interpreter. So, sorry, I don't know how to turn this off. I had a bunch of text messages come in, but yeah, like, if that's the case, then it's like everything relies on an interpreter. Texts don't interpret themselves; they're interpreted by interpreters, and you may have a different interpretation. So you're just being arbitrary as to how you're supposed to know that these are actual miracles. You don't. That's the problem. Let's just continue, man.
Three, it also says the word day 365 times, which is the exact calendar we use right now. And number 4, it says the word month 12 times, which is the exact same calendar that we use right now.
First of all, bro, like, I don't even know if that's true. Like, I'm not going to sit here and count 365 times, but I mean, again, this goes back to what I said about it being arbitrary, because what about declensions? Like, I mean, because for instance, in Arabic, you can say yom, which is day, like Yom Qiyamah, the day of judgment, but then you can say yoman, which means yoman, which means like a day. So like, okay, so which part of that are we going to use? Furthermore, I mean, what if we have a leap year? Like, bro, come on. Like, this is just, it's just dumb, dude. Like, so now, oh, okay, well, it's true, except for when we have a leap year. Like, bro, like, what kind of, it's just, because then if you say that, where is that written in the Quran? Where are you getting this from? You're just kind of just making stuff up, bro. Like, I don't know, bro. It's just, it's weird. Let's continue on and see what else is being said.
Number 5, it mentions that the heavens and earths are constantly expanding. In the last 100 years, we just now found out that the universe is ever expanding. Number 6, the Quran.
All right, let's actually check this, because I've heard this claim before. I remember years ago, I was going through it. I have the ayah pulled up because I kind of briefly skimmed through this video before, but I actually wanted to okay, here it is. 47. Let me put this on the screen. Okay, so this is the section here. This doesn't, no. Okay, so the ayah is saying that when Allah created the heavens, that he spread them out. It doesn't say that it's continually expanding. Well, bro, like, look, I mean, you could put the thing over it. And indeed, we are surely its expanders. But it doesn't mean that it's actually continually expanding. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that it will continue to expand. It just says that we're the ones that expanded the universe. It doesn't mean that it's continuously still happening. Like, this is the problem that I'm bringing up, and this is the point that I'm making. Like, how do you know when to, like, you don't? You kind of just make it up as you go along. Like, there's no way for you to know what's true about this or not. It's just crazy, dude. Like, oh wow, Quran.com has a Qira'at section now. Might have to come back and make a video about that too. All right, let's continue going on this, and let's see what else this dude says.
Is 1,400 years old. None of these things were around 1,400 years ago. By years ago, it was ever expanding. Number 6, The Quran is 1,400 years old. None of these things were around 1,400 years ago. It was written, transcribed by an illiterate man who could not read or write. How would have he been able to know any of that unless it was divine? That brings me to point.
Bro, he says, oh my God, bro. Like, this is, bro, if they got you like this, like if you went to get if you went to go get a haircut and they gave you a Quran after you left the barber shop and you fell for this, bro, like for real, bro, that's a non sequitur. How could he have known this if he was illiterate? Well, the Quran like 4 times calls Muhammad al-Udhun, like the ear, because he was a caravan trader. He traveled all around trading things. He was a trader, a caravan. So he would hear different things. That's why they started making fun of him, calling him the ear, because he, matter of fact, let me see if I can find the ayah. 9, they said it's in 961. I mean, it's in like a few other places too in the Quran. But let me pull this one up, 961. I hate Quran.com, honestly. It is like the most sucky website. Like it never loads. Okay, here we go. Here it is right here. And among them are men who annoy the prophet and say he is, they say lending his ear. He is the ear basically to every news, right? He's lending his ear to every news. Say, and then this is when Allah says, say, he listens to what is best for you. He believes in Allah, has faith in the belief. Yeah, they're only saying that right here. Yeah, that he is the ear or a ear or like you say, a lending ear, I guess. But basically the moral of the story is that he's going around lending, he's listening to what people say, and then he's just repeating what they say. Like literally, like that's it. So I mean, that's a possibility as to how he could have been quote unquote illiterate, could not have been able to read or write, and he's retelling stories. That's a possibility. Another possibility too is that he could have been hearing from Satan. He could have been, like, that's how he could have had information about al-gharib, like the unseen, because the demons live there. They live there too. So if it's feasible that he could have been getting, basically what I'm trying to say is, if one is just as easily as feasible as the other, then it's possible. So you just automatically think that because he's illiterate that, oh, okay, well, it's a miracle. Well, he could have been hearing it from other people and just telling them to put that in the Quran, which he was wrong about, or he could have been getting it from some other supernatural means. Satan. It's possible. So it's just like, it's a non sequitur for you to have come to that conclusion thinking that. That's the point that I'm making. But let's hurry up and wrap this up because my brain cells are just like.
Number 7, look at everything objectively. Objectively, if you look at what I just mentioned, how can you deny that Islam isn't the truth? I can prove to you that Islam is.
Okay, you're using the wrong objectively. You're using the word objectively wrong here. And it's kind of like causing you to like fall into some kind of like category error. If you want to use it in the way objectively in terms of it just being true, then sure, yes, you could run that argument that objectively is true for everyone. But if that were the case, then when I showed you those numerical miracles in the Bible, then that proves that Islam, Christianity or Judaism, whatever religion that uses or utilizes those books is true as well, right? That means that it's going to be true for the Bible, which means that Christianity is true. So if these numerical miracles in the Quran prove Islam true, then the numerical miracles in the Bible prove Christianity or Judaism true, whichever group uses that book. But you wouldn't accept that. So yes, it is objective in a sense that it may be, if this is your premise, it may be true objectively for everyone, but it is not objectively true in the sense that, in an evidentialist sense, where you're just stacking up evidence and then saying, because I have all of this evidence, it proves what I'm saying to be true. Because, like I said, if that were the case, then I can stack up a bunch of evidence on my side and then use that and say, well, it proves that the Bible is true. Furthermore, I can even do it in the exact opposite way. I can stack up a bunch of evidence, or I can use the same evidence you use and then say, no, 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 this is proof that the Quran is inspired by Satan. All I have to do is give a premise. And if it's feasible, it follows, just like yours is. So it's like, it's not an objective criteria, really. It's objective in one sense, but not in another. So, I mean, you're taking an evidentialist approach, and that same approach can be used against you. Like, it's not a good criteria. In order for you to prove that Islam is true as a worldview, it has to be consistent everywhere, right? It can't just be consistent in one area. Oh, miracles. Okay, well, what about something like historical accuracy? The Quran says that Jesus was not crucified. It was just made to appear so. Okay, well, so he wasn't really crucified. The Muslim will say, no, of course not. But history as we know it says that he was actually crucified. The Muslim will then say, no, 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 no. Allah just made it appear that that was the case. Okay, well, now we're back at the same problem. Why should I believe that? Based on all of the evidence we have, if I'm going to use your system, an evidentialist approach, then my evidence is going to outweigh your evidence, because all the evidence we have, even the admission from the Quran, if I want to take it in that way, shows that Jesus really was crucified. There's a guy on the cross named Jesus that was crucified. But then the Quran comes and says, no, I just made it look like that. Okay, well, why do at what point am I going to take your position over the other position that stacked up more evidence to support its claim? You see how this doesn't work. So if I use your approach, then holistically it collapses on itself. So if you want to be able to prove a worldview or give a worldview that holds greater explanatory power, you got to be able to do something other than an evidentialist approach where this is concerned. This was just trash. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I've never met you before. You seem like a cool dude, but this was not a good argument, bro. Like, none of these were good arguments, and they actually work against you. So I don't know, man. Make sure that you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you like this, let me know in the comments and share it with your friends. Yeah. And yeah, that's going to be it. I don't know why I'm making the end weird. Okay. All right.
اللهم أيها الإله الضابط الكل يا من خلق